Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Commander Selene Roy stared out at the endless night. Orbital station Artemis hung between Earth and Mars, its rotating ring glowing against the void. 7 years she had served here, watching solar flares ripple past observation windows, noting every anomaly. Today, something new stirred beyond the outer sensor grid. Commander, Dr. Avi Aslan's urgent voice crackled over the comm link. I'm registering 20 obsidian vessels. They appeared less than 30 seconds ago. Selene's pulse quickened. She tapped the console, rotating a holomap of the colony's perimeter. No warp signature, she whispered. No tremor in spacefold metrics, they just materialized. Lieutenant Jackson Murray joined them, eyes wide. Nothing in our databanks matches. They're not Krell, not Zorex, and their hulls absorb every spectral band we've tried. In the command circle, tension hung like static. Civilian crews paused their duties. Every technician, every engineer sensed the dread that accompanied the unknown. Initiate first contact protocol, Selene ordered softly. All frequencies, every beacon. I want a message of peaceful intent, and I want it now. Avi's fingers flew over the console. Transmissions sent in 22 languages plus universal binary, awaiting response. Outside, the voidborne vessels drifted closer, their black arrowheads hungrily drinking the distant starlight. Seconds passed. Then the first energy pulse struck Artemis's outer shield, flaring blue-white across the curved plating. "The shield's at 80%, Jackson shouted. Selene drew in a steady breath. Divert auxiliary power to the grids, reroute environmental reserve channels if you must, hold them. Shield stabilizing at 92, Avi confirmed, but they're probing another pulse. Beneath them, station corridors echoed with alarms. Crews raced to sealed bays. Civilians donned respirators. Rare laughter once filled these halls, now nothing but urgent footsteps. Selene closed her eyes for a fraction of a second. Every training simulation, every drill she'd led had prepared her for human error, but not for an enemy that bent the rules of physics. Yet she would not yield. Hostile intent confirmed, the eye's calm voice disclosed. Nanodrone deployment detected in atmosphere. A collective gasp rose. Jackson swallowed. They're seeding us, converting our air. Everyone to stations, Selene commanded. Engage counter-nano-scrubbing field. Engineer Tamsin Lay, report to the Arboretum Dome. We need biofilters online. Moments later, Selene reached the Arboretum, its lush greenery now at risk. Tamsin knelt by the primary filter, sweat shining on her brow. I adapted the overflow scrubbers, she explained, voice steady even as she worked. Should neutralize 90%, but power draw. Divert non-essential power, Selene said. We can't lose our oxygen. Outside, a third pulse struck the dome's support structure. Vines shuddered, leaves quivered. Tamsin flipped a switch. High-pitched hums signaled the scrubbers engaging. Stale air hissed through the meshes, tinged with electric blue photons. Filters at 70% efficiency, Tamsin reported. We're holding. Selene placed a hand on her shoulder. Good work, stay here until we drive them off. The two returned to the command hub. The station's holographic displays flickered with vessel schematics. Voidborne ships organized in deadly geometry, 20 clustered around Artemis's core, the rest spread to cut off escape corridors. We can't outrun them, Avi said. Our jump drive won't charge before they disable it. Selene sank into her chair, jaw clenched. Futures depended on her next words. We adapt. She paused, then pointed at the Voidborne formation. Measure the intervals between their pulses. I think they follow a pattern tied to their hull resonance. Avi's eyes lit. If we can reverse phase our shield harmonics, we can turn their pulse energy back at them. Let's do it, Selene replied. Jargon be damned, humans will improvise. While Avi and Jackson reconfigured the shield emitters, Selene addressed the entire station over the public channel. People of Artemis, you are the pioneers of humanity's reach into the stars. You will not be terrorized by vessels we do not yet understand. Hold to your duties, protect your neighbors, and believe we will prevail. Cheers crackled through the system, tears shimmered in weary eyes. In that moment, an ember of hope ignited across every deck. As the new shield harmonics activated, a reversed pulse met the next Voidborne attack. A thunderous backlash of dark energy radiated outward, rocking the station but sending several enemy ships tumbling away. Selene let herself exhale. The first blow had been struck and Artemis had shown its mettle. Human ingenuity, resolve, and unity had kindled the spark of resistance. The war unleashed something in them, and already the galaxy trembled at what might come next. Captain Helios Core stood on Dawnbreaker's bridge, eyes fixed on the holomap of orbital station Artemis. The massive Voidborn fleet still hovered just beyond the station's outer shield. His ship, the civilian starfreighter Dawnbreaker, was not designed for combat, but Core knew that every cargo hold of supplies, every engineer aboard, could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. "We've received your distress call," Selene Roy's voice came through the comm. "We need power cells and scrubber catalysts. Can Dawnbreaker spare them?" Helios tapped his console. "We're rerouting secondary containers now. Engineer Tamsin Lee will oversee the transfer. We also bring a few surprises from my own design bay." "We'll meet you at Bay 3, Selene said. "Hurry." Within minutes, Dawnbreaker drifted alongside Artemis's southern cargo port. Tamsin Lee, the station's lead engineer, moved down the docking ramp to greet Core and his crew. She was slim and focused, her dark hair braided over one shoulder. Her calm composure belied the anxiety that knotted every soul on the station. "Thank you," Selene called as she waved them in. "Our scrubbers need those catalysts, and your extra cells should stabilize our shield grid long enough for a counterstrike." Helios nodded. "We knew these would come. After our last trading run, I had engineers modify a few energy packs. They'll push your grid well past maximum load temporarily." Tamsin inspected the crates, her fingers tracing serial codes. "Perfect. And these advanced capacitors, I can integrate them directly into our synthesizer banks. We should buy ourselves at least 3 cycles of extra pulse reflection." Inside the freight bay, engineers from Dawnbreaker worked alongside Tamsin's team. The cargo area glowed with orange lamplight as they hooked cells to conduits and mixed chemical catalysts for the air scrubbers. Down the corridor, storage drones whirred, ferrying canisters of emergency rations and medical supplies. Every hand moved with purpose. Meanwhile, outside the station, the Voidborn launched their next assault. From the black hulls of the alien vessels came a swarm of microscopic drones, nanoplague machines shaped like spindles and cubes. They streaked toward the station like a dark cloud, invisible to most sensors until they began their toxic work. "Atmospheric intruders at 90,000 per second, a voice announced. "Nanoplague density rising." Selene and Helios watched the drones swarm converge on the station's agricultural domes. Within moments, the lush fields of engineered crops turned sickly. Leaves blackened, air quality alarmed. Children and families huddled inside their sealed quarters, fear heavy in their eyes. "Activate ion scrub arrays," Selene ordered. "And Tamsin, get those plasma ion filters online, drown them in energy." Tamsin tapped commands into a handheld pad. "It's running at full power," she reported as she led a squad of technicians to the dome's external filter towers. Sparks flew where conduits were overloaded. Yet the filters roared to life, ionizing the air and stripping out foreign particles. For a moment, it seemed as though the dome would clear. But the drones adapted. They altered their shape mid-flight, forming acid clouds that corroded the filter surfaces. Acrid smoke billowed, fouling the air. Station alarms blared and panic threatened to spread. Helios sprang forward, drawing from his freight experience. "We need a physical barrier," he suggested. "Deploy the cryomist generators from Dawnbreaker's hold. Cryoparticles will freeze the drones out of the air." Selene hesitated. Freezing an entire dome risked plant life, but the alternative was worse. "Do it," she said. Within minutes, engineers rigged portable cryo units around the affected sections. Hissed gas coated the interior in frost. The temperature dropped and the nanodrones began to stall, their circuits jammed by the cold. Black shapes fell to the floor like dead insects. "Dome temperature at -15, Tamsin reported. "Drone activity down by 80%. The station's medical officer, Damien Yue, rushed to adjust hydroponic regulators. "We can't keep it this cold for long," he warned. "The crops will freeze solid." Selene nodded, just enough time to clear our shields and push back. She turned to Helios. "Your ship's ready." "Reactors hot, weapons array armed," Helios replied. "But these cannons draw power like nothing I've seen." "We'll coordinate," Selene said. "I'll target their drone ships, you take the black vessels." Back on the bridge, Core and Selene opened a tactical link. The station's 3 ionic cannons came online, their barrels glowing ominously. Light refracted through the station's curved bulkhead as the Dawnbreaker's freight-mounted pulse cannons slid into firing position. "Ready on your mark," Helios said. Mark, Selene replied. Two energies met the Voidborn in a sudden storm. Ion bursts surged from Artemis, sailing outward in concentric waves that snapped freeze-dried drones from the sky. Simultaneously, Dawnbreaker's cannons unleashed broad arcs of crimson energy, punching through the Voidborn hulls. The black ships shuddered, releasing smaller skirmish craft that spiraled away. As air cleared inside the domes, residents peered at the frost-laced fields. Children laughed at the glittering frost on leaves. Hope returned. But the Voidborn did not relent. From their flagship came a beam of poisonous violet energy aimed directly at the station's life support nexus. For a moment, shields flickered dangerously low. Reactor overload imminent, Avi warned. We can't sustain both defense and atmosphere scrubbers. Divert life support to local cells, Selene decided. Prioritize crew and essential scientists. She keyed the override. Bulkheads sealed, splitting Artemis into survival zones. Corridors dimmed as power shifted. Residents in non-critical sectors found themselves cut off, but safety lay within sealed blocks. On Dawnbreaker, Helios saw the station shudder. We're losing them, he said. Not yet, Selene replied. Final gambit, reactive resonance. Jackson and Avi had spent the last minutes retuning the station's gravitational modulators. Their plan was daring, reverse the polarity of the Voidborn beam, turning its own weapon against itself. They had one chance. Initiate reverse phase, Selene ordered. Outside, a thunderous pulse radiated from Artemis. The violet beam faltered, then snapped back toward the flagship. Core watched in awe as the Voidborn flagship exploded in a silent bloom of light. Debris spun in every direction. Smaller vessels backed off, disoriented. We did it, Helios murmured. Back inside, the station's alarms finally quieted. Crew members embraced. Tears fell freely. Selene looked at her battered officers, Tamsin, Damien, Avi, Jackson, and felt a surge of pride. Today, she announced over the station-wide speaker, we stood beneath the black void and we did not break. We fought with every ounce of our humanity, and we prevailed. In the silence that followed, the people of Artemis dared to hope. They had pushed the Voidborn back, but the war was far from over. Yet in that triumph, they discovered something new, a fierce resolve that would carry them through the darkness ahead. Chief Engineer Annika Orloff stood before the Dawnbreaker's fusion reactor, her face lit by the soft hum of plasma conduits. In the days since Artemis's first victory, the tiny band of survivors had scrambled to turn desperation into invention. Selene Roy had approved a bold plan, adapt the Starfreighter's reactor to power a new weapon, one that could strike the Voidborn deep inside their black hulls. Annika's hands trembled with excitement as she calibrated the reactor's magnetic coils to channel a concentrated burst of energy. If it worked, this ember spear could pierce alien armor where normal cannons had failed. Down the corridor, Jackson Murray and Dr. Avi Aslan prepared the test chamber. Jackson adjusted targeting arrays while Avi fed sensor data into the weapon's guidance matrix. They had little time. Every moment the Voidborn regrouped, every lull in fighting risked a fresh assault. Yet in this cramped hangar lit by the reactor's orange glow, their spirits lifted. We need a stable containment field, Avi reminded Jackson. If the charge leaks, we could blow the entire bay. Jackson nodded, sliding a sleeve over the test chamber's control rod. I've modified the cooling loops, he said, but it's still risky. Their shared grin betrayed their excitement. Risk was the essence of breakthrough. Above them, children huddled in sealed hydroponic domes, listening to the muffled roar of the station's reactors. Outside, the faint crackle of battle drifted through reinforced windows. Families sheltered beneath curved bulkheads, hugging blankets and ration packs. Medic Damien Yue made his rounds, checking oxygen levels and soothing frightened voices. He carried a small toy spaceship wherever he went, a gift for a boy whose parents had fallen in the first attack. Damien had seen despair, but he also saw hope shining in the children's eyes whenever he spoke of human resilience. We're building something extraordinary, he told them gently. We'll send the Voidborn packing, and soon you'll run free again. Back in the test chamber, Annika and her team sealed the Ember Spear prototype. The weapon's core pulsed with cobalt light, wires snaking across its length like veins. She watched as Jackson and Avi linked the directional emitters. Ready for charge? Annika asked. Both technicians nodded, Avi breathed deep, holding at 80% containment. Jackson flicked a switch. The reactor's energy funneled into the spear in a blinding surge. Alarms shrieked as magnetic feedback scattered sparks. Annika held her breath. Then the core stabilized, the hum deepening into a steady resonance. She let out a whoop. We did it. They carried the Ember Spear to an external firing mount near the station's defensive cannons. Selene, in her command uniform, stood by the viewport with Helios Core. Their eyes met in a moment of shared pride. "This is our best shot," Selene said quietly. Helios placed a hand on her shoulder. "Your thinkers and tinkerers have outdone themselves, Selene." She smiled, feeling the weight of leadership ease for an instant. Together, they watched the Voidborn ships regroup beyond the shield's edge. At Selene's order, the station prepared for a live test. Shields diverted power and passenger shuttles moved families deeper into safe zones. The firing mount yawed toward a cluster of smaller Voidborn fighters. Jackson keyed the targeting computer, feeding it real-time tracking data from Artemis's sensors. Avi monitored the reactor bleed from a secondary console. Annika stood behind them, heart pounding. Selene announced over the comm, "All crews stand clear. Ember Spear trial in 3, 2, 1. A beam of crackling orange-white energy erupted from the mount, slicing through space in a straight line. The Voidborn skirmisher barely had time to register the strike. The Ember Spear struck true, piercing hull plating and igniting internal systems. The craft exploded in a silent bloom of fire, debris scattering like metal petals. The station shook as the feedback wave rippled through the shield grid, but the barrier held firm. Cheers erupted across Artemis's comm channels. Inside the hangar, Annika and her team hugged. Jackson punched the air. Avi laughed, tears in his eyes. Even Damien, who had rushed in to check for injuries, cracked a smile as he handed out congratulatory ration bars. Selene entered, her expression radiant with relief. "You've given us a weapon worthy of our courage," she told Annika. "Today we proved that human creativity under fire can forge miracles." As the immediate victory buzz settled, Selene gathered her senior officers in the command hub. Holo displays showed Voidborn vessels withdrawing to regroup. Civilian transports prepared to ferry remaining families to safer orbits. Tamsin Lee reported that the new scrubbers had been rebuilt for full power. Damien confirmed that medical stations had ample reserves in case of further assaults. Helios updated on Dawnbreaker's cargo runs, promising another shipment of capacitor crystals within hours. Selene addressed the team. "We have turned a corner. The Ember Spear has injured the Voidborn, but this war is not over. Each day we'll sharpen our weapons and our will. We'll defend every child beneath these domes. We'll push the Voidborn back from every star we touch." Her words echoed through the hub, igniting resolve in every heart. Later, as night settled across the domed sky of Artemis, Selene returned to the observation deck. She looked out at the faint glimmer of distant stars, knowing the Voidborn lay hidden beyond them. Yet beneath that vast blackness, human ingenuity burned brighter than any alien weapon. She placed a hand on the viewport glass, whispering a promise to every soul aboard. "We will not yield. Our Ember Spear will light the way." And somewhere deep in the station, children slept peacefully, dreaming of tomorrow's freedom. Word of Artemis's success with the Ember Spear spread quickly. Nearby colonies, once isolated and fearful, watched the Voidborn retreat in alarm. Now envoys arrived aboard shuttle convoys, offering support and fresh recruits. Among them was Colony Mariner Station's commander Selwyn Dree, escorted by engineer Sorya Mukherjee and pilot Novik Reed. They stepped onto Artemis's docking ring with cautious hope, their uniforms still bearing the salt stains of deep space travel. Selene Roy greeted them in the cargo bay, where Dawnbreaker's crew and Artemis technicians worked side by side. "We're grateful for your help," she said. "Our fight is bigger than one station. It's for every world they threaten." Selwyn nodded. "We bring shield modulators and drone swarms of our own design. We also have medics and hydroponic specialists ready to assist." His calm voice carried the weight of countless hours defending spice mining outposts against pirates. Artemis welcomed his expertise. Meanwhile, Alliance officer Tamsin Lee walked through the corridors with Sorya. They compared notes on reactor tuning and ion scrubber configurations. Despite different backgrounds, Tamsin from a military engineering school, Sorya from a civilian research vessel, they found common ground in their shared drive to protect human life. Each technical breakthrough they shared wove stronger ties between their peoples. In the station's biodome, families from Mariner Station mingled with Artemis residents. Children chased each other beneath artificial starlight projections, their laughter a rare balm to frayed nerves. Medic Damien Yue oversaw a joint health clinic treating minor injuries and checking oxygen levels. He exchanged stories with Mariner Station's head nurse, Alina Garcia, comparing notes on makeshift triage techniques. Their collaboration turned fear into determination. But unity under pressure proved fragile. At the command hub, tensions flared when Selwyn and Helios Core debated resource allocation. Core argued for a full strike using Dawnbreaker's upgraded pulse cannons, pressing the advantage. Selwyn cautioned restraint, every ammunition crate mattered, and civilian vessels were not built for deep engagements. Selene stepped between them. "We will fight smart," she said firmly. "We strike only when we can win decisively." Otherwise, we strengthen our defenses and build more ember spears. Her clarity quelled discord. Both officers nodded, eyes meeting in mutual respect. They returned to their teams, determination burning in their gazes. That resolve faced its greatest test when the Voidborn launched a surprise attack on Artemis's central habitat ring. Under cover of a solar flare, the alien ship slipped back inside the station's perimeter. Sirens wailed as energy lances ripped through external conduits. Power flickered. Automated defenses struggled to target the silent black hulls. "They've breached our sensors," Avi reported. "We didn't see them coming." Selene barked orders, everyone to battle stations. Helios coordinate with Dawnbreaker's bridge. Selwyn deploy shield modulators to the ring's generators. Tamsin assist the scrubber team. If they destroy our air, nothing else matters. On the habitat ring, engineer Soria and her team rushed to secure generator bays. Plasma arcs danced as they fastened reinforced coils. Above them, Voidborn fighters darted in and out, firing corrosive beams that cut through bulkheads. One beam struck a life support manifold, rupturing oxygen lines. Green gas hissed into the corridor as civilians panicked. Pilot Novik Reed swooped in aboard a borrowed Defender-class shuttle. He banked sharply, unleashing drone swarms from his cargo hatch. The micro-drones homed in on Voidborn fighters, swarming their hulls and causing system glitches. One fighter spun out of control and slammed into the habitat's outer frame, creating a shower of sparks. Soria pressed a button, activating emergency sealers. Heavy blast doors slid closed, containing the damage. With her headset crackling, she cheered as Novik's drones hammered the alien craft. "We got them," she shouted, adrenaline roiling through her veins. Back in the command hub, Selene watched the holo-display track the battle. Civi transports lowered solar sails to block energy beams. Mariner Station's drone operators guided their swarms with precision. Dawnbreaker's pulse lasers lit up the fight with crimson streaks. Every faction fought in unison. Yet the Voidborn regrouped quickly. A black dart of a command ship broke from the formation and fired a ripple pulse that staggered the station's shield grid. Amber and blue lines danced across the holomap as shield capacity dropped. "Shields at 40%, Avi warned. Selene steadied her voice. "Prepare retaliatory strike with Ember Spear, target the command ship. Everyone else hold your positions and protect the rings." Within seconds, the Ember Spear mount hummed to life. Annika Orloff and Jackson Murray aimed the weapon at the command ship's path. The rest of the Alliance held fire, giving the spear a clear shot. Selene counted down Viacom, 3, 2, 1. The Ember Spear tore from its mount in a brilliant streak. Wisps of orange plasma trailed behind it as it cut through the dark. The command ship shuddered under the impact and buckled, its hull collapsing inward. The ripple pulses ceased. Voidborn fighters hesitated, then fell back as their leader's destruction reverberated through their hive network. Silence descended. Artemis's shields rebounded to full. Station lights steadied. Civilians peeked from sealed domes, eyes bright with renewed hope. Engineers and medics embraced. Across the hub, Selwyn and Helios exchanged fist bumps in front of Selene's console. Everyone who fought that day saw a spark of unity forged in fire. Differences of station and rank faded beneath the shared cause. They had saved the habitat ring, protected countless lives, and struck a blow that proved human cooperation could overcome alien might. Later, Selene summoned her allies to the observation deck. They gathered beneath the glowing dome, silhouettes against the vast expanse of stars. Selwyn placed a hand on Selene's shoulder. Helios and Soria stood side by side. Tamsin linked arms with Avi. Damien and Alina shared a knowing nod. Selene addressed them quietly. "We faced the crucible together and we emerged stronger. This war will test us again, but we have proven one truth: united we are unstoppable. Let every corner of our colonies hear that promise tonight." In the hush that followed, the assembled officers reflected on how far they had come since the Voidborn first arrived. Out of chaos, they had built unity. Out of fear, they had forged courage. And in that crucible of battle, humanity's brightest flame burned for all to see. The Voidborn fleet had retreated to a distant hold in the nearby drift, nursing their losses. Orbital Station Artemis and its allies used the lull to repair damage and bolster defenses. Yet beneath cautious calm, a sense of destiny stirred. Selene Roy convened her council in the command hub, resolve shining in her eyes as she traced new battle plans across the holo display. "We strike now," she announced. "We have the Ember Spear prototypes and enough firepower to cripple their heart. If we can bring down their flagship, the rest will scatter." Around her, the officers nodded. Helios Core confirmed Dawnbreaker's pulse cannons were fully charged. Selwyn Dree and Sorya Mukherjee had outfitted cruiser escorts with enhanced shield modulators. Tamsin Lee and Jackson Murray prepared additional Ember Spears for deployment on mobile platforms. Dr. Avi Aslan monitored reactor loads, ensuring sustained energy flow. Medic Damien Yue and his team stood ready to tend to wounded after the assault. Every piece of the puzzle lay before them. Outside the observation dome, civilians watched the faint outlines of voidborn ships drifting against the blackness. Families held hands, hoping their defenders would prevail. Children pressed faces to the glass, eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. Whether they knew it or not, they were the reason Artemis would fight with every ounce of human grit. When the order came, shuttles ferried strike teams and weapon platforms to the rendezvous point. Dawnbreaker led the procession, flanked by Mariner cruisers and Artemis's defenders. Selene piloted her personal interceptor, weaving through formation with practiced ease. The Ember Spear mounts rested like silent sentinels on escort hulls, primed to unleash their fury. As they emerged from hiding, the Voidborn flagship loomed, a vast obsidian leviathan absorbing starlight in impossible silence. Smaller vessels flanked it, eager to protect their commander. A moment of hush fell over the human fleet as the distance closed. Within that silence lay the weight of every human life at stake. Selene's voice crackled in their helmets. Focus on the flagship, clear a path for the Ember Spear. Dawnbreaker, keep your pulse cannons aimed at incoming skirmishers. Mariner swarms, engage them and push them back. We set the tempo this time. Helios's voice came next, calm and steady. All wings engage, protect the spear platforms, fire at will. He guided Dawnbreaker into position, each shot a ripple of red breaking against voidborn hulls. Escort shuttles launched micro-drone swarms that danced around the enemy fighters, disrupting sensors and communications. On Artemis's makeshift dreadnought, an armored platform bristling with weapons, Tamsin Lee and Jackson Murray stood ready. Jackson gripped the firing controls, heart hammering. Tamsin's hands hovered over the activation sequence, her fingers trembling slightly. All their months of work came down to this one moment. Moments later, a roar of energy filled space as the first Ember Spear launched. Orange-white light streaked across the void in a straight, unwavering line. The flagship's dark plating resisted for a heartbeat before surrendering. The spear pierced through the hull and detonated within, triggering a chain reaction of internal reactors. Behind exposed vents, fire bloomed as the alien vessel convulsed. From the human formation came cheers that echoed across comm channels, but celebration had to wait. Voidborn fighters swarmed toward the damaged flagship, desperate to defend it. Dawnbreaker's lasers carved arcs through the swarm. Cruisers rained modulators that disrupted alien shields. Galactic dust sparkled in every direction as beams of light collided. In the chaos, a Voidborn command craft dove toward the human line, firing a burst of violet energy that ripped through an escort cruiser. Alarms blared as the ship lost power and drifted, smoke pouring from torn armor. Selene saw the danger and shouted, "Divert to that cruiser. Protect them." Her interceptor veered off course. Two escort fighters broke formation to cover the stricken ship. Meanwhile, Tamsin and Jackson redirected a second Ember Spear to intercept the command craft. It streaked forward, bats of energy splintering across its hull. The command ship shuddered and dropped away, flat against the void. As shields shimmered back to full strength, Selene rejoined the main formation. Ahead lay the flagship, silent, wounded but still deadly. From its bristling hull, shadowy warships began to peel off, rallying around their leader in a final stand. Selene's comm buzzed with urgency. "They're forming a protective ring. If we don't break it, they'll evacuate the flagship and regroup." "Authorize final spear volley," Helios replied. "Authorized," Selene confirmed. "Volley in 3, 2, 1. Within a heartbeat, 3 Ember Spears launched from different platforms. They converged in a trinity of blazing light, colliding with the Voidborn flagship. For an instant, darkness swallowed the beams. Then a starburst of orange-white light flushed outward as the flagship's core failed catastrophically. Debris and shockwaves rippled through the Voidborn formation. Stations shuddered, shields glowed as they absorbed the energy blast. Then the flagship cracked open, its hull peeling back like petals. Within seconds, it fragmented into hundreds of shards that drifted silently away. Without their command nexus, the remaining fleet faltered. One by one, Voidborn ships disengaged and fled. Silence fell across the human fleet. Cheers and tears erupted in equal measure. On Artemis, engines flared as skiffs raced through docking bays to celebrate with their families. Engineer Sorja and pilot Novik embraced, voices hoarse with relief. Dr. Avi Aslan slumped against a console, head in hands, mourning those lost in the fight, especially his friend and co-pilot Leslie Tran, who had given her life to protect the reactor controls during the first strike. Damien Yue found Avi and placed a hand on his shoulder. "She fought with you until the end," Damien said softly. Avi nodded, eyes glistening. "We won because of her. I'll make sure her name carries on in every ember spear we build." Selene watched from her bridge, heart heavy and soaring at once. The cost of victory weighed on her, every life lost, every family shattered. Yet she felt hope flowing through the station like a river of light. Humanity had turned the tide through creativity, courage, and unity. As the human fleet regrouped, Selene sent a final transmission to the scattered Voidborn ships. "This war is over for you. Leave our space and never return. We have shown what lies within us, something you can never conquer." No response came, only the fatting echoes of combat. Artemis's shields returned to low-power status and system alerts subsided. Selene stood, gazing out at the fields of debris. Beyond them, familiar stars glimmered in peace. In the quiet aftermath, hope blossomed across 9 million hearts. They whispered of rebuilding, of returning to domes and fields, of laughter instead of alarms. The galaxy had trembled at the war unleashed, and now it trembled with anticipation of what humanity would achieve next.